All right, I'm going to start this one off with an apology to the Slav right. Sorry, guys, I'm a Muggle blood. Besides being Ukrainian, I'm also part Greek.
I love the Greeks. Oh, do I love the Greeks.
And while I usually have Slav squatting ovations in mind when I'm crafting my rants, the rest of this vid is dedicated to my fellow Hellenes. Honestly, I don't know if it's coverage fatigue, post-economic crisis and bailouts and austerity and the hell unleashed thereafter, or what really, but it would seem that every pundit in the West is really content in obsessing over France and Germany and Sweden's Islamo-globalist demise, that they've forgotten all about Greece. So if you'll indulge me, I'd like to take 5 minutes to just tell you why my heart is breaking for Greece. So this week, Hellenes across the world are celebrating Greek Independence Day, and once upon a time, I was one of them. But this year, I refuse. Why? No, not because I don't respect our country's history, it's because I'm pissed. Because the truth of the matter is, Greeks, well, they aren't independent anymore. Greece has lost her independence, and the poetic injustice of it all, well, it couldn't be more straightforward. Think about it. So Hellenes are celebrating Greek Independence Day. Long story short, Greek patriots fought and won a revolution against their Muslim Turkish overlords. Before their independence, the Ottomans ruled the Greeks with an Islamo-iron fist, instituting a regime of apartheid and enslaving whole populations of our forefathers for some 400 years. So for over 10 years, the revolutionary wars and battles were fought. Whole massacres of Greeks in Ionia, Crete, Constantinople, Macedonia, the Aegean Islands, and elsewhere where they took place. Whole communities across Greece were wiped out. An enormous amount of blood was spilled in the name of Greek independence from the Muslim Turks. And so naturally, when the Turks were finally and decidedly overthrown, well, Greeks, they started a new era, an era of real development and unabashed, unwavering nationalism, and very large part, by the way, thanks to efforts from the Orthodox Church. Now, I won't bore you with any more history, but suffice it to say this. The Hellenes have a lot to be proud of, with a long and storied history stretching over thousands of years. Ancient Greece was the cradle of Western civilization, with truly magnificent achievements in areas like governance. It's the birthplace of democracy, of course, and science and math and philosophy, architecture and the arts, so much of which, well, it still influences our lives today. And while the mountains and the Mediterranean and the meals and the model-level babes only intensify Hellenic patriotism. But today, well, it's a different story. Sure, Greeks still love their history and country, but the truth is, it's not theirs anymore. They've sold it, and they've allowed it to be invaded. Greek independence is just a hollow phantom, a ghost of our past we acknowledge once a year as another reality haunts us, a reality in which the once independent Greeks have been turned into slaves again. Yes, slaves to debt, but perhaps more disturbingly, slaves to empire. Once again, with a distinctly Islamophilic tinge. Now, a quick note on the economic side, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I will say this. By entering into the predictable systemic crisis that is the Eurozone in an attempt to tie together 19 nations with different fiscal policy, varying employment rates, and all-round gaps so painfully obvious from their failure to produce even common symbolism, resulting in ambiguous bridges and roads on their banknotes. Well, following Greece's inevitable inability to keep up, followed by the most insane bailout terms that came after, well, following all of that, Greece is pretty much permanently screwed from an economic standpoint. After years of anti-Hellenic deals signed by the Syriza government and the New Democracy Party that governed before them, well, memorandums commit the national wealth of Greece for the next century to foreign hands. Foreign hands that will control Greek electricity, communications, water, ports, including Piraeus, tourist ports and marines, all of the country's airports, public transit, roads, government and tourist and Olympic properties, natural gas, oil, and just about every other natural resource. Thanks to the IMF, ECB, EU, and traders of the Greek national government who have become the call girls of the foreign usurers, well, Greece has lost her national economic sovereignty. The country is not independent. It's been converted into a protectorate of foreign powers in which local workers, farmers, and agricultural producers ultimately pay the price, with slashed pensions and consumption taxes, well, topping even 25%. Now, to be honest, though, with summer on the country's doorstep, it's not actually the debt slavery that has me worried. It's immigration. Greece has turned into a regional ghetto of illegal immigrants. Thanks to Chancellor Angela Merkel, the superstate EU, and disloyal sellouts in the Greek parliament, Greece has turned into an illegal migrant storage house. Because of Greece's location, it's more often than not the entry point for millions of Muslim men who have accepted Chancellor Merkel's invitation for European-style welfare. 2 years ago, I actually intended on visiting the islands of Samos and Lesbos with my dad. But when we got to the tourism office to buy our boat tickets, the man at the desk said, "Oh, no, you don't want to go there. People defecate in the streets there now. The whole island is gone. You might get attacked. The locals don't want to be there now. It's really not a good place for tourism." That was 2 years ago. Today, Lesbos, Samos, Kos, Leros, Kalimos, Rhodes, Simi, Ios, Agathonisi, well, all of those islands have fallen completely. Some of the most beautiful islands, never mind in the country, in the world. Islands that were once booming tourism hubs, the backbone of the Greek economy. They're just a bunch of mini Syrias and Afghanistans now. That's not independence. That's a Muslim empire. That's Muslim conquest by means of illegal migration. Migration that the Greek government has consigned to on German and EU orders. Yeah, it's a depressing story, and if you're Greek like me, doubly so. So, is there any hope on the horizon? On immigration, well, I think that there actually might be. This week, the Greek immigration minister warned the EU that Greece cannot deal with any more migrants. Duh. But you might be thinking, it'd only be for a short time. After all, these migrants are just passing through Greece to head to the wealthier welfare states in the north and western parts of Europe. Well, not exactly. Berlin is now signaling that they wish to return to the controversial Dublin Agreement, which, when enforced, makes migrants the responsibility of the first country that they enter, which, if you know anything about geography, spells the end of Greece. If migrants who, say, get to Germany or Sweden via Greece have their asylum claims rejected by those countries, well, under the Dublin Agreement, they are to be sent back to Greece rather than deported to their home country. It's absolutely preposterous system, and one that will collapse immediately at the next refugee storm. So, my message for the Greeks and the Greek government as we mark our now lost independence this week: say no to the Dublin Agreement. Tell Chancellor Merkel that the migrants coming to Europe are there because of her invitation, so she can keep them. I wish Greeks could have escaped the European Union when they had the chance. I really do. I wish that we could still claim national sovereignty, ownership of one of the most beautiful slivers of land and seas on the face of the planet. But it's time to stop pretending. It's time to stop living in the past. It's time to take a cue from our forefathers, stare our occupiers in the eyes and say, "Ohi." And then maybe there'll be a day when we can celebrate true independence once again. For the Rebel.media, I'm Faith Goldie. We cover a lot of stories about Merkel's failed migrant policies. For more, click below, like this video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.